ॐ शिवशक्तिसमारम्भां भास्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मत्श्रीनाथपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ज्ञानिनामपि चेतांसि देवी भगवती हि सा बलादाकृष्य मोहाय महामाया प्रयच्छति दुर्गे स्मृता हरसि भीतिमशेषजन्तोः स्वस्तैः स्मृता मतिमतीव शुभां ददासि दारिद्र्यदुःखभयहारिणि का त्वदन्या सर्वोपकारकरणाय सदार्धचित्ता सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरि नारायणि नमोऽस्तु ते शरणागतदीनार्तपरित्राणपरायणे सर्वस्यार्तिहरे देवि नारायणि नमोऽस्तु ते सर्वस्वरूपे सर्वेशे सर्वशक्तिसमन्विते भयेभ्यस्त्राहि नो देवि दुर्गे देवि नमोऽस्तु ते रोगानशेषानपहंसि तुष्टारुष्टातु कामान् सकलानभीष्टान् त्वामाश्रितानां न विपन्नराणां त्वामाश्रिताः ह्याशयतां प्रयान्ति सर्वाबाधाप्रशमनं त्रैलोक्यस्याखिलेश्वरि एवमेव त्वया कार्यमस्मद्वैरि विनाशनम् ॐ Hello everyone, good evening. Okay, so we'll just do a review of 12th chapter. I think we have to do from 12 to 40, so about 40 instances each. Maybe Tulsi, can you do like 14, and Shanti, can you do 14?
Yes, Rajeshji.
Okay, you can do maybe 12 to 26, Tulsi.
Yeah. शरत्काले महापूजा क्रियते या च वार्षिकी तस्यां ममैतान् माहात्म्यं श्रुत्वा भक्तिसमन्वितः सर्वबाधा विनिर्मुक्तो धनधान्यसुतान्वितः मनुष्यो मत्प्रसादेन भविष्यति न संशयः
That's
श्रुत्वा
first word, Sarva Bhada.
सर्व या श्रुत्वा ममैतान् माहात्म्यं तथा चोत्पत्तयः शुभाः पराक्रमं च युद्धेषु जायते निर्भयः पुमान् रिपवः संशयं यान्ति कल्याणं चोपपद्यते नन्दते च कुलं पुंसां माहात्म्यं मम शृण्वतां शान्तिकर्मणि सर्वत्र तथा दुःस्वप्नदर्शने ग्रहपीडासु चोग्रासु माहात्म्यं शृणुयान्मम उपसर्गा शमय्यान्ति ग्रहपीडाश्च दारुणाः दुःस्वप्नं च नृभिर्दृष्टं सुस्वप्नामुपजायते बालग्रहाभिभूतानां बालानां शान्तिकारकं सङ्घातभेदे च नृणां मैत्रीकरणमुत्तमं दुर्वृत्तानामशेषाणां बलहानिकरं परं रक्षोभूतपिशाचानां पठना देवनासनं सर्वं ममैतान् माहात्म्यं मम सन्निधिकारकं पशुपुष्पार्घ्यधूपैश्च गन्धदीपैस्तदोत्तमैः विप्राणां भोजनैर् भोजनैर्होमै प्रोक्ष्णीयैर्हर्निशम् अन्यैश्च विविधैर्भोगैः प्रधानैर्वत्सरेण या प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सकृत्सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति आरोग्यं प्रयच्छति रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु चरितं यन्मे दुष्टदैत्यनिबर्हणम् तस्मिन् रुच्यते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसान्न जायते युष्माभिः स्तुतयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु
Sorry, Tulsi, that somehow your voice was skipping for me. The second line, last part, Brahmarshibih Kritaha.
Okay, I'm going to reread one more time. Tasmin ruchyate vairikrutam vayam pumsan na jayate yushmabih stutayo yascha brahmarshibih krutaha. Yeah. ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु प्रयच्छन्ति शुभां मतिम् अरण्ये प्रान्तरे वापि दावाग्निपरिवारितः So it's 20 until 26, right, Rajeshi?
Until life.
Yeah, 26. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you can stop there. Yeah.
दस्युभिर्वावृतः शून्ये गृहीतो वापि शत्रुभिः सिंहव्याघ्रानुयातो वा वने वा वनहस्तिभिः.
Yeah, you can stop there.
राज्ञाकृतेन चाज्ञप्तो वत्यो बन्धततोऽपि वा आहूर्णितो वा वादेन स्थितः पोदे महार्णवे पदत्सु चाभिशस्त्रेषु सङ्ग्रामे पृषदारुणे सर्वाभातासु घोरासु वेदनाप्यर्थितोऽपि वा स्मरन् ममैतच्चरितं नरो मुच्येत सङ्कटात् मम प्रभावत् सिंहात्या तस्य वो वैरिणस्तथा दुरादेव पलायन्ते स्मरतश्चरितं मम.
And then the first word is long U. Duradeva palayante. Okay.
दूरादेव पलायन्ते स्मरदश्चरितं मम. ऋषिरुवाच इत्युक्त्वा च भगवती चण्डिका चण्डविक्रमा पश्यतामेव देवानां तत्रैवान्तरधीयत तेऽपि देवा निरातङ्का स्वाधिकारान्यथा पुरा यज्ञवाहः भुजः सर्वे चक्रुर्विनिहदारयः दैत्याश्च देव्या निहते शुम्भे देवरिपौ युधि जगद्विध्वंसिनी तस्मिन् महोग्रेतुल विक्रमे निशुम्भे च महावीर्ये शेषाः पादालमाययुः एवं भगवती देवी सा नित्याभि पुनः पुनः सम्भूय गुरुते भूप जगदः परिपालनम् तयैतन्मोह्यते विश्वं शैव विश्वं प्रसूयते सा याचिता च विज्ञानं दुष्टारुक्तिं प्रयच्छति व्याप्तं तयैतत् सकलं ब्रह्माण्डं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया शैव काले महामारी शैव सृष्टिर्भवत्यजा स्थितिं करोति भूतानां शैव काले सनातने भवकाले नृणां शैव लक्ष्मीर्वृद्धिप्रदा गृहे शैवाभावे तदा लक्ष्मीर्विनाशायोपजायते स्तुता सम्भूजिता पुष्पैर्धूपकन्दादिभिस्तथा तदादिवित्तं पुत्रांश मदिं धर्मे खदिं शुभाम्.
Okay. Oh, the last, you want to say the last thing?
Yeah. Om Satya Samtu Yajamanasya Kamaha Namo Devyai Mahadevyai Shivayai Satatam Namaha Namah Prakrityai Bhadrayai Niyata Pranadasmatam Sangayai Sayudayai Cha Parivarayai Sarvatpikayai Shri Bala Tripura Sundaryai Namaha.
All right. So we'll start with the 13th chapter today. So which is Surata Vaishyayoho Varapradhanam. I don't know why my video keeps getting switching. Okay. So this is the final chapter, right? Which is giving the final boon to the Surata and Vaishya, the two king and the Vaishya. So just to kind of recap, right? So the previous chapter we saw the Devi telling the Palastuti, right? So now in this Rishiru Vacha, it starts with the sage Sumedas, right? Who is the main sage who is actually narrating this. So he's coming back and saying, okay, O king, because he's telling this to the king and the Surata and also Samadhi, the Vaishya. Those are the two people who he's actually telling this to. So he tells them that, look, I have told you now the Mahatmyam of the Devi that you had actually asked me about. And he kind of gives a quick, description saying she's the one who is the energy behind all of the creation, and she's the Vishnu Maya who triggers everything, and she's also the person that we saw about. He's the one who creates the illusion that you are different from the supreme soul, right? She's creating that illusion, she's that Maya, and we saw about the greatness of this Devi, right? So just to kind of, for us to recap, it first started with the king and the Vaishya coming to the Srishi and then talking about their problems. Then in the first chapter, we saw about how yes, Yoga Maya, Madhu and Kaitaba had stolen the knowledge from Brahma. So this Yoga Maya had to go and trigger Vishnu up because Vishnu was in a state of slumber, in a yogic state. So she had to trigger him to get rid of Madhu and Kaitaba. That was the first chapter. Then in the second chapter, Mahishasura had come. So then, Devi then came and got rid of Mahishasura. The commanders, the army of Mahishasura was second chapter. Third chapter was getting rid of Mahishasura himself, right? So that was the Mahishasura Mardini. That was chapter 3. So in chapter 4, the Devas did a stuti saying, thank you for getting rid of Mahishasura who had taken everything that we had. So that was second incarnation, however you want to think about it. Then in the fifth one was where Shumbha and Nishumbha had come and taken over everything from the Devas. So in the fifth one is where the Devas now come and do a stuti, which is the Namastasya, to say, please come and protect us from Shumbha and Nishumbha. That was the fifth chapter. Then the sixth chapter, first she got rid of Dhumra Lochana, who's one of the commander. Seventh, Chanda and Munda, who are two commanders. So the Kali came out of the Chandika and got rid of Chanda and Munda. So she was called as Chamunda. We saw that in the seventh. Then in the eighth, we saw how the various devas, from their body, a version of the Devi came. Brahmani, Vaishnavi, Aindri, all of them came, and they had to get rid of Rakta Bija, right? From every drop, another Rakta Bija was coming. So that happened in 8th. 9th was getting rid of Nishumbha. 10th was getting rid of Shumbha. So now that all of them were gone, 11th was a stuti to Narayani saying, thank you for getting rid of Shumbha and Nishumbha. That was 11th. And 12th was the Palastuti, which Devi says, what are the benefits of hearing and chanting Devi Mahatmyam, right? So those were the 12 chapters we saw. So now in this 13th chapter, a little bit, if you remember, even before the Rishi started talking, Markandeya started. It first starts with Markandeyo Vacha. It starts. So Markandeya is the one who's actually telling this story to this Rishi called Bhaguri about this people coming and visiting the stage, and then the Devi Mahatmyam, right? So it's kind of a nested loop, right? So Markandeya's conversations are the highest. So he comes in and says, so this way, right? The Rishi is actually went and told this to the king and the Surata. If you recap the king's problem was he had lost his army, he had lost his kingdom, but he was still attached to it. He was still thinking about, I hope my finance person is taking care of the treasury properly. I hope my warriors are still fighting a good battle. He was still getting attached to the kingdom. He could not let it go. That was his problem. The Vaishya's problem was he lost all his money. His family took away all his money, but he still had attachment towards his family, right? Those are the two problems these two are facing. So Markandeya is now coming and saying that once the sage has said this, the Rishi, the king and the Vaishya now have all the information. And they say, we are super clear of what we want to do. And what they do is for 3 years, they do that the Namastasya, which we saw, the 26 stanzas, which is called as Devi Suktam. So they chant the Devi Suktam and do prayers for 3 years. So they go to the banks, I think of the bank Saraswati, probably one of the river banks, and then they completely devote the next 3 years. So they create a clay image of the Devi, a clay idol of the Devi, and then it will say Pashu Pushpargya Dhupai. So they go and worship her, right, every day for 3 years. And they completely have control over their senses. They don't get attached to anything material. They're literally, both of them are living in the forest and then praying for 3 years. Finally, after 3 years, Chandika appears in front of them, appears in front of the king and appears in front of the Vaishya. And then, Chandika says, look, I am very happy because, even the Devas have said, right, anybody who chants this Devi Suktam, right, with utter devotion and for a long amount of time, Chandika has to appear in front of them. So she says, okay, since you have said, whatever you want, you will get. That's what Devi comes and tells the king and the Vaishya. So the king, he says, I did not do my duties properly because the king ran away from the battlefield when he lost the first time. So he says, as a Kshatriya, I cannot run away from my problems. I have to face my problems upfront, right? So he says, I need you to, video went off again. Okay. So he says, I need you to give me the power so I can go back, right, and win all these battles. And then I want to rule over, not just take over everything in the kingdom, but the kingdom is a perishable thing. It can get over. But he says, I want something which is, non-perishable kingdom, right? I want something which is massive. That is what the king asks. The Vaishya says, give me that one knowledge which will remove me completely from all of these bondages that are there in this material life. So two of them ask for two completely different things, right, from Devi. So the Devi says, so be it, because in the 11th chapter, she has this one stanza which comes, which says, I forget the thing. Anyway, she says she's a grantor of both the liberation, if you want liberation, at the same time, if you want material wealth or riches, she also grants you that. She can grant you either of those. So to the king, she says, you will go, you will get back your kingdom, and then you will be a powerful king. Not only that, finally in the eighth Manu, which is going to be coming, you are going to become the Manu. So Manu is a ruler of the entire earth, right? So not only who governs the laws of the planet, right? So he says you're going to become the eighth Manu, right? So which means you are literally like the next in line to Brahma, right? So that's the elevation you're going to get. So which means that you have a fixed term, nobody can take the kingdom or nobody can take anything away from you. So you're going to reach that state of being the Manu. And for the Vaishya who says, give me that knowledge which removes that bondage and the duality that I'm seeing, I want to get that liberated. Devi says the only way for that you to happen is to become Sayujyam in me, is to merge into me and getting liberated. That's the only way you're going to get away from the any things of bondage and duality, everything is to become one with the goddess itself. So the Vaishya, again. So the Vaishya then goes and he merges with Devi. So that is the end of both of this. And again, Markandeya comes and, if you remember at the very beginning also, Markandeya says, Markandeyo Vacha, Savarnis Surya Tanayo Yo Manu Katyatesh Tamaha. He says, I'm going to tell you about this Manu I'm going to tell you about this king called Savar, who's going to become the eighth Manu, right? That's how Markandeya starts the story. Like we said, this happened during the second Manu time. So anyway, so this king then gets back his kingdom, and then after his death, then eventually he's going to be born, not yet born because we are still in the seventh Manu. So the eighth Manu is going to be this Savarni. He's going to be this king who's going to become, and the Vaishya then attains liberation. So that is the end of the 13th chapter, right? Where finally Devi comes in front of them and gives them what each of them asked for. So that's where there is, you can ask whatever you want, and each of them end up asking two completely different things. Yeah, so that is the end of this. Okay, so 8:20. So we'll start. Lavanya irkela inniki?
Yes, I'm here, Rajeshji.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Lavanya. Yeah.
Okay.
Sriram irkela. Jai Shri Sriram back.
Yeah, Rajesh.
Okay. Okay. So we'll start with the 13th one. Om Rishiru Vacha. Just disconnecting. Rishiru Vacha. Etat te katitam bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam. You can break it that Mahatmyam Uttamam. Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedam Dhadyate Jagat. Om Rishiruvacha Etatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam. Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedam Dhadyate Jagat.
Om Rishiruvacha Etatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam Evam Prabhava Devi Yayedam Dharayate Jagat. Om Rishiruvacha Etatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam Evam Prabhava Devi Yayedam Dharayate Jagat.
Om Rishiruvacha Edatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam Evam Prabhava Sadevi Yayedam Dharyate Jagat. Om Rishiruvacha Etatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam Evam Prabhava Sadevi Yayedam Dharyate Jagat.
Vidya tathaiva kriyate bhagavat Vishnumayaya taya tvamesha vaishyascha tathaivanye vivekinaha. Vidya tathaiva kriyate bhagavat Vishnumayaya taya tvamesha vaishyascha tathaivanye vivekinaha.
Vidya tathaiva kriyate bhagavat Vishnumayaya taya tvamesha vaishyasya tathaivanye vivekinaha. Vidya tathaiva kriyate bhagavat Vishnumayaya taya tvamesha vaishyasya tathaivanye vivekinaha.
Vidya tadaiva kriyate bhagavat Vishnumaya taya dhamesha vaisyasya tadaivanye vivekinaha. विद्या तदैव क्रियते भगवत् विष्णुमायया तया त्वमेष वैश्यश्च तदैवान्ये विवेकिनः
मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैः महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोग स्वर्गापवर्गदा. That's one word, स्वर्गापवर्गदा. मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा.
मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता शैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता शैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा
मोह्यन्ते मोहिदास्तैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा मोह्यन्ते मोहिदास्सैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा
मार्कण्डेयो वाच इति तस्य वचः पुट इष् वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः पुट इस् सुरतः स नराधिपः मार्कण्डेयो वाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
सुरतः स नराधिपः
मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शंसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन. That's you got to kind of say that whole word together. निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च. प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शंसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च.
प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं संसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च
Rajya apaharanena, so that it becomes just one word, Rajyapaharanena.
प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं संसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च
प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं संसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं संसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च
जगाम सद्यस्तपसे स च वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम अंबाया. You can break it that संदर्शनार्थम अंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः. जगाम सद्यस्तपसे स च वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम अंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः.
जगाम सद्यस्तपसे स च वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम् अम्बायां नदीपुलीन संस्थिता.
Nadi is a long E, Pulina is a short E. So Nadi Pulina Samstitaha.
जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सर्च वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम् अम्बाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः
जगाम सत्यस्तबसे शश वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम् अम्बाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः जगाम सत्यस्तबसे शश वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम् अम्बाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः
Cha Vaishyas Tapastepe Devi Suktam Param Japan Tau Tasmin Puline Devyaha Putta Devya Kritva Murtim Mahimayim. So Devi Suktam, right? That's what they end up chanting. Such a Vaishyas Tapastepe Devi Suktam Param Japan Tau Tasmin Puline Devya Kritva Murtim Mahimayim.
स च वैश्यस्तपस्तेपे देवी सूक्तं परं जपन् तौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम् स च वैश्यस्तपस्तेपे देवी सूक्तं परं जपन् तौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम्
स च वैश्यस्तबस्तेबे देवी सूक्तं परं जबन् दौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम् स च वैश्यस्तबस्तेबे देवी सूक्तं परं जबन् दौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम्
Arhanam Chakratus Tasyaha, put a F Tasya, Pushpa Dupagni Tarpanaihi. Pushpam Dupam Agni Tarpanam. So which is water, Dupam and all of that. Pushpa Dupagni Tarpanaihi. Niraharau Yataharau Tan Manaskau Samahitau. So the most important thing, not just worshipping, is to always, is fasting. That's where they say when you are worshipping, you have to fast, because otherwise your body is going to get filled, you're going to blur, you're going to want to take a break and all of that. Your mind is not going to be under control, right? So the way they do is they end up fasting, and because they're going to do it over a 3-year period, probably they were eating light, nothing that they were completely fasting. But that's why it says niraharo yataharo, means literally some extent fasting, right? That's what they're doing. अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यताहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ.
अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यताहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यताहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ
अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यदाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यदाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ
ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रासृगुक्षितम् एवं समाराध यतोस् त्रिभिर्वर्षैर् yatatmanoh, like we said, for 3 years. And also at one of the bali they also gave was, they also started giving their blood as the offering at some point, right? So at some point they were also offering that because they really wanted her to come. So paritushta jagadhatri pratyaksham praha chandika. So the chandika then appeared finally in front of them. ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रासृगुक्षितम् एवं समाराधयतोस्त्रिभिर्वर्षैर्यतात्मनोः परितुष्टा जगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका.
ददत्तुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रशृगुक्षितम् एवं यतात्मनोः परितुष्टा जगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका ददतुष्टौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रश्रुगुक्षितम् एवं एवं यतात्मनोः परितुष्टा जगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका
तदतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रा त्रिकुक्षितम् एवं समाराधयादोस्त्रिभिर्वर्षैर्यदात्मनोः परितुष्टजगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका.
The first line, Nijagatra Sri Gukshitam.
ஸ்ரீன்னு போட்டிருக்கேன் ராஜேஷ்.
இல்ல அந்த சேஞ்ச் Nijagatra Sri Gukshitam.
ஓகே. தததுஸ்தௌ பலிம் சைவ நிஜகாத்ரா த்ருகுக்ஷிதம்.
SRU. Nijagatra Sri Gukshitam.
ஓகே. தததுஸ்தௌ பலிம் சைவ நிஜகாத்ரா ருகுக்ஷிதம். கரெக்டா?
Thru. SRU. Sri Gukshitam.
அது வந்து நிஜகாத்ராஸ்
Nijagatra Sri Gukshitam.
நிஜகாத்ராஸ்த்ரு குக்ஷிதம். एवं समाराधयादोस्त्रिभिर्वर्षैर्यदात्मनोः परितुष्टजगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका.
देव्युवाच यत् प्रार्थ्यते त्वया भूप त्वया च कुलनन्दन मत्तस्तत् प्राप्यतां सर्वं परितुष्टा ददामि तत्. So she's saying whatever you want, you ask, I will give you because I'm pleased with you. देव्युवाच यत् प्रार्थ्यते त्वया भूप त्वया च कुलनन्दन मत्तस्तत् प्राप्यतां सर्वं परितुष्टा ददामि तत्.
देव्युवाच यत् प्रार्थ्यते त्वया भूप त्वया च कुलनन्दन मत्तस्तत् प्राप्यतां सर्वं परितुष्ट ददामि तत्. देव्युवाच यत् प्रार्थयते त्वया भूप त्वया च कुलनन्दन मत्तस्तत् प्राप्यतां सर्वं परितुष्टा ददामि तत्.
देव्योवाच यत् प्रार्थ्यते त्वया भूप त्वया च कुलनन्दन मत्तस्तत् प्राप्यतां सर्वं परितुष्टा ददामि तत्. देव्योवाच यत् प्रार्थ्यते त्वया भूप त्वया च कुलनन्दन मत्तस्तत् प्राप्यतां सर्वं परितुष्टा ददामि तत्.
Markandeyo vacha tato vavre nrupo rajyam. You can break it, that ma, put a im there, rajyam. Next word will start with the a. Rajyam abhibhramshyanya janmani, short e. Atrai vacha nijam rajyam hata shatru balam balat. Markandeyo vacha tato vavre nrupo rajyam abhibhramshyanya janmani अत्रैव च निजं राज्यं हतशत्रुबलं बलात्.
मार्कण्डेय उवाच ततो वव्रे नृपो राज्यम् अविभ्रंशन्यजन्मनि अत्रैव च निजं राज्यं हतशत्रुबलं बलात्. मार्कण्डेय उवाच ततो वव्रे नृपो राज्यम् अविभ्रंश्यन् यजन्मनि अत्रैव च निजं राज्यं हतशत्रुबलं बलात्.
मार्कण्डेयोवाच ततो वव्रे नृपो राज्यम् अभिभ्रंश्यन्यजन्मनि अत्रैव च निचं राज्यम् अधशत्रुबलं बलात् मार्कण्डेय उवाच तदो वव्रे नृपो राज्यम् अभिभ्रंस्यन्यजन्मनि अत्रैव स निचं राज्यम् अधशत्रुबलं बलात्
सोऽपि वैश्यस्ततो ज्ञानं बभ्रे निर्विण्णमानसः ममेत्यहम् इति प्राज्ञः पुट इस् प्राज्ञस् संगविच्युतिकारकम्. So the last one, mametyaham is mama iti aham. So anything which I'm thinking of it as I and mine, he says, give me that supreme knowledge, jnanam, which removes that illusion that everything is me and everything is mine. Right? So that is that knowledge he's asking for. So the only way to get that knowledge is if you're finally getting liberated. That's why he just gets liberated. He just merges. There's no knowledge. The moment you get knowledge, you become one with the Lord. Right? There's no intermediary period, right? So that's what is going to happen. So he says, give me that one knowledge is what he's asking, but he's actually going to end up getting merged with the Devi. Sopi vaishyastato jnanam bhavre nirvinnamanasaha mametyahamite prajna sanga vichyuti karakam.
सोऽपि वैश्यस्ततो ज्ञानं वव्रे निर्विन्नमानसः ममेत्यहम् इति प्राज्ञः सङ्गविच्युतिकारकम् सोऽपि वैश्यस्ततो ज्ञानं वव्रे निर्विन्नमानसः ममेत्यहम् इति प्राज्ञः सङ्गविच्युतिकारकम्
शोभी वैश्यस्तदा तदो ज्ञानं बभ्रे निर्विन्नमानसः ममेत्यहम् इति प्राज्ञः सङ्गविच्युतिकारकम् सोऽपि वैश्यस्तदा तदो ज्ञानं बभ्रे निर्विन्नमानसः ममेत्यहम् इति प्राज्ञः सङ्गविच्युतिकारकम्.
Okay, we'll switch halfway. Ram, you can be student, and Sangeeta, you can be student. Devyuvacha स्वल्पैरहोभिर् नृपते स्वं राज्यं प्राप्स्यते भवान् हत्वा रिपूनस्खलितं तव तत्र भविष्यति. So he says, you the kingdom you currently lost, swalpairahobi, you'll get it very quickly. You'll get that, and eventually you'll get the much bigger one. Devyuvacha स्वल्पैरहोभिर्नृपते स्वं राज्यं प्राप्स्यते भवान् हत्वा रिपूनस्खलितं तव तत्र भविष्यति.
देव्युवाच स्वल्पैरहोभिर्नृपते स्वं राज्यं प्राप्स्यते भवान् हत्वा रिपूनस्खलितं तव तत्र भविष्यति. देव्युवाच स्वल्पैरहोभिर्नृपते स्वं राज्यं प्राप्स्यते भवान् हत्वा रिपूनस्खलितं तव तत्र भविष्यति.
देव्युवाच स्वल्पैरहोभिर्नृपते स्वं राज्यं प्राप्स्यते भवान् हत्वा रिपून् स्खलितं तव तत्र भविष्यति.
And the second line, ripunaskalitam.
रिपूनकलिकम्.
Ripunas is
रिपूनस्खलिकम्.
kalitam. Yeah.
देव्युवाच स्वल्पैरहोभिर्नृपते स्वं राज्यं प्राप्स्यते भवान् हत्वा रिपूनस्खलितं तव तत्र भविष्यति. It's kalitam or kalikama, Rajesh? Sorry.
The kalitam. Ta.
Tam.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first line you say nripte, I heard it's nripate, full pa. Okay. Nripate.
Pate. Okay.
Mritascha bhuyah, put is bhuyas samprapya janma devat vivasvatah savarniko nama manur bhavan bhuvi bhavishyati. So you're going to be born as Savarni, as a Manu. Mritascha bhuyas samprapya janma devat vivasvatah savarniko nama manur bhavan bhuvi bhavishyati.
मृतश्च भूयः सम्प्राप्य जन्म देवाद्विवस्वतः सावर्णिको नाम मनुर्भवान् भुवि भविष्यति. मृतश्च भूयः सम्प्राप्य जन्म देवाद्विवस्वतः सावर्णिको नाम मनुर्भवान् भुवि भविष्यति
मृतश्च भूयः सम्प्राप्य मृतश्च भूयः सम्प्राप्य जन्म देवात् विवस्वतः सावर्णिको नाम मनुर्ना भवान् भुवि भविष्यति
No, I think this is something, the second line, this is something different.
Manur,
Savarniko nama manur bhavan bhuvi bhavishyati.
I have an extra now. Manur, Bhavan,
Bhavan
Manur.
bhuvi.
Okay. मृतश्च भूयः सम्प्राप्य जन्म देवात् विवस्वतः सावर्णिको नाम मनुर्भवान् भुवि भविष्यति
Vaishyavarya tvaya yascha varosmattobhivanchitah. That's because that S symbol is coming. You have to kind of say the whole line together. So varosmattobhivanchitah tam prayachami samsiddhyai tava jnanam bhavishyati. वैश्यवर्यत्वयाह्यश्च वरोस्मत्तोऽभिवाञ्छितः तं प्रयच्छामि संसिद्ध्यै तव ज्ञानं भविष्यति
वैश्यवर्यत्वयायश्च वरोस्मत्तोऽभिवाञ्छितः तं प्रयच्छामि संसिद्ध्यै तव ज्ञानं भविष्यति वैश्यवर्यत्वयायश्च वरोस्मत्तोऽभिवाञ्छितः तं प्रयच्छामि संसिद्ध्यै तव ज्ञानं भविष्यति
वैश्यवर्यत्वयायश्च वरोस्मत्तोऽभिवाचितः तं प्रयच्छामि संसिद्ध्यै तव ज्ञानं भविष्यति वैश्यवर्यत्वयायश्च यश्च वरोस्मत्तोऽभिवाचितः तं प्रयच्छामि संसिद्ध्यै तव ज्ञानं भविष्यति
On the second line, gyak vala nya tava jnanam prayachati.
तव ज्ञानं भविष्यति
The ga sound I'm hearing, there's no ga sound there. Tava jnanam bhavishyati.
ज्ञानं भविष्यति
Markandeyo vacha iti dattva tayor devi yatha bhilashitam varam. मार्कण्डेयोवाच इति दत्त्वा तयोर्देवी यथाभिलषितं वरम्
मार्कण्डेयोवाच इति दत्त्वा तयोर्देवी यथाभिलषितं वरम् मार्कण्डेयोवाच इति दत्त्वा तयोर्देवी यथाभिलषितं वरम्
मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति दत्ता तयोर्देवी यथाभिलषितं वरम् मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति दत्ता तयोर्देवी यथाभिलषितं वरम्
अभूवान्तर्हिता सद्यो भक्त्या ताभ्याम अभिष्टुता. So you can break it that ma ताभ्याम अभिष्टुता एवं देव्या वरम लब्ध्वा सुरतः, the visarga has to be said, सुरतः क्षत्रियर्षभः बभूवान्तर्हिता सद्यो भक्त्या ताभ्याम अभिष्टुता एवं देव्या वरम लब्ध्वा सुरतः क्षत्रियर्षभः
बभूवान्तर्हिता सद्यो भक्त्या ताभ्यामभिष्टुता एवं देव्या वरं लब्ध्वा सुरतः क्षत्रियर्षभः बभूवान्तर्हिता सद्यो भक्त्या ताभ्यामभिष्टुता एवं देव्या वरं लब्ध्वा सुरतः क्षत्रियर्षभः
बभूवान्तर्हिता सद्यो भक्त्या ताभ्याम् अभिष्टुता एवं देव्या वरं लब्ध्वा सुरतः क्षत्रियर्षभः बभूवान्तर्हिता सद्यो भक्त्या ताभ्याम् अभिष्टुता एवं देव्या वरं लब्ध्वा सुरतः क्षत्रियर्षभः
सूर्याज जन्म समासाध्य सावर्णिर भविता मनुः Savarnir Bhavita Manuhu Clean Om. Surya Janma is becoming the son of the sun god Vivaswan. Just like Vaivaswata Manu, even next he is also going to be born to the sun god. Surya Janma Samasadya Savarnirbhavita Manuhu Savarnirbhavita Manuhu Clean Om.
सूर्याजन्मसमासाध्य सावर्निर्भविता मनुः सावर्निर्भविता मनुः क्लीं ॐ सूर्याजन्मसमासाध्य सावर्निर्भविता मनुः सावर्निर्भविता मनुः क्लीं ॐ
सूर्या जन्म समासाद्य सावर्निर्भविता मनुः सावर्निर्भविता मनुः क्लीं ॐ
Clean Om.
क्लीं ॐ सूर्या जन्म समासाद्य सावर्निर्भविता मनुः सावर्निर्भविता मनुः क्लीं ॐ
तस्या सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियताः प्रणतास्मतां साङ्गायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै श्रीमहात्रिपुरसुन्दर्यै श्रीविद्यायै नमः
सत्याः सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियताः प्रणतास्मतां साङ्घायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै श्रीमहात्रिपुरसुन्दर्यै श्रीविद्यायै नमः सत्याः सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियताः प्रणतास्मतां साङ्घायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै श्रीमहात्रिपुरसुन्दर्यै श्रीविद्यायै नमः
Sorry, Rajesh. In the printed booklet, that line is
It's not there in your book. Okay, that's fine.
Rajesh, one question.
In the Pavanir, he is going to become the Manu.
Yeah, he is going to become his name is Suratha right now, or at that time. He is going to become a Manu called Savarni.
Oh, then the Surya, you said something. Surya.
Surya Janma is like the sun god. So he's going to be born as the SON of the SUN god.
Okay.
Okay. So the current Vaivaswata Manu also is born as a son of Vivaswan, which is the Surya Bhagavan.
Oh, okay. So Surya's son.
Yes. In the next Manu's time.
Okay.
So it's always it's the sun god, son only will become Manu.
No, nothing like that. The 7th and the 8th Manu are sun god's son. The first one, Swayambhu Manu, came from Brahma. Chakshusha Manu came from other places. So it's all different. Later on, Bali Maharaja is going to become, so it's a whole bunch of things. But the 7 and 8 are like that.
Rajesh, Surataha irukallaya.
Surataha, ama.
So எதுக்கு அங்க விசர்க்கம் சொல்றோம்?
The Ksha is coming later, right? Kshatriya Shabah. So when the Ksha is coming later, the Visarga has to be said preceding it. Okay.
You called SUN son with a different name, right? Does it mean that we are having different sons?
Illa. And the sun god பேரு Vivaswan. Vivaswan means sun.
Oh, Vivaswan. Okay.
Vivaswan. So the Vaivaswata Manu. Vivaswan's son is Vaivaswata Manu.
Oh, okay.
The SUN sun god க்கு Vivaswan பேரு அவ்வளவுதான். Sanskrit name. That's all.
Rajesh, in the line 26 and 27, ரெண்டு time சொல்லலாமா? My book says 2 times.
No, we just say the Surya Janma the Savar Nirbhavita Manuhu, Savar Nirbhavita Manuhu. And by saying that last 2 words 2 times, it is kind of, that is one way of saying it 2 times.
Okay.
But I think some books might say you say the entire 2 lines 2 times, right? Different ways. But that's why that last 2 words are said 2 times is a representation of saying the 2 lines 2 times.
Okay.
All right. So we still have a few more things, right? So the next one, if you're following the BPA script, if you go next, it'll have Anganyasam. So remember, before we did the first chapter, we did an Anganyasam. We then did 108 Navakshari. Then we did another Nyasam. And then we did the first chapter. Now that you have finished the 13th chapter, it kind of goes back in reverse. Okay, you again do a Nyasam. Then you do 108 Navaksharis. You do another Nyasam. So that's the exact reverse. So the content of this is pretty much the same. So I'm not going to go through it. If you kind of look at it, I'll just do it once. You don't have to repeat it, right? So if you look at the Anganyasam, Khadgini, Shulini, Ghora, Gadini, Chakrini, Tata, Shankini, Chapini, Bhana, Bushundi, Parigayuda, Hridayaya Namaha. Touch your heart. शूलेन पाहि नो देवी पाहि खड्गेन चाम्बिके घंटास्वनेन नः पाहि चापज्यानिस्वनेन च शिरसे स्वाहा top of your head प्राच्यां रक्ष प्रतीच्यां च चण्डिके रक्ष दक्षिणे भ्रामणेनात्मशूलस्य उत्तरस्यां ततेश्वरि शिकायै वषट् back of your head सौम्यानि यानि रूपाणि त्रैलोक्ये विचरन्ति ते यानि चात्यर्थघोराणि तैरक्षास्मां सता भुवं कवचायहुं shoulders खड्गशूलगदादीनि यानि चास्त्राणि तेऽम्बिके करपल्लवसङ्गीनि तैरस्मान् रक्ष सर्वतः नेत्रत्रयाय वौषट् so the two eyes सर्वस्वरूपे सर्वेशे सर्वशक्तिसमन्विते भयेभ्यस्त्राहि नो देवि दुर्गे देवि नमोऽस्तुते अस्त्राय फट् 2 times. Only difference is previously you would have said Om Bhurbhuvassuvarom iti. Now I'm looking at Digbimokaha, I forget that. Bhurbhuvassuvarom iti.
Digbandaha.
Digbandaha. Yeah, so Digbanda, when you do, we said you start from your right ear and then you go around to your left ear. Digbandaha, binding. Now this is Digbimokaha, is I'm unbinding myself. So you do this, you start from your left ear and then go back. Okay, so Atra Yaphat 2 times. Start with your left ear, go back. Digbimokaha. Okay, just from the left ear to the right ear. Just go on the reverse direction. That's the only difference here. Digbandaha becomes Digbimokaha. Then the Dhyana Stokam was also there before Vidyudhama Samaprabha Mrigapatiskandasyatam Bhishanam. And then the Pancha thing will come. You know, Lam Prativyatmane Gandham Kalpayami, whatever we did before. That is the same thing that is repeating. You go look back at your script, it's the exact same thing that is there. Then again, that Matruka Akshara Sahita Navakshari Mantram, 108 Navakshari Mantrams are following. If you're looking at the BPA text, okay, the same 108 will follow. Then there's another Nyasam that is Aim Hridayaya Namaha, Hrim Shirase Swaha, all of that is coming. Even there, Bhurbhuvassuvaromiti Digbimokaha. The same logic, you go from your left ear, go around and come to the right ear. Digbimokaha instead of Digbandaha. Then again, the Dhyana Stokam is going to come and the Panchakita is going to come. Right? So that will wrap up that entire 13 chapters, right? You kind of do that. You do the Nyasam, you do the 108 Matrika Aksharam, and then you do Navakshari, and you do another Nyasam. The only difference being Digbandaha, Digbimokaha. Right? So that will complete it, right? And then if you're looking at your script, the next is the Devi Suktam. So the same 26 stanzas which came in chapter 5, the same 26 stanzas are going to come, which is a Devi Suktam, 28 or 29, right? So that is the Devi Suktam, which you already learned. That is also that. So we have 4 things remaining right now. One is there's a Rahasyam, so something called as a Rahasyam. There are 3 Rahasyams.
Rajesh ji, I think your voice is breaking because Ram sir is not muted.
Okay, just mute Ram. Okay. So this is better now. Okay. So that the Devi Suktam is the 29 stanzas, which we've already done. So no change to that. So now we have 4 more things remaining. One is there are Rahasya Trayams. So 3 Rahasyams we are going to see. We'll cover it in the next class. Each of that will take one class. It's about 28-30 stanzas. Right? So that will complete the entire ladder portion. For those of you who attended Devi Mahatmyam Parayanams, you'll see that we do a big Nyasam called as Matruka Nyasam at the very beginning, which is a very elaborate Nyasam, because in this Nyasams which we did, we only touch, Hridayaya Namaha, Shirase Swaha, Shikaye Vashate, and then we touch only the fingers. In that Nyasam, you touch every part of your body. You touch the right shoulder, you touch this joint, you touch this joint, touch the bottom of your fingers, you touch the top of your fingers. So very elaborate nyasam. That will take one class. Okay, so we'll still have 4 more classes. So 3 classes we'll do the rahasyams, and then the 4th class we'll do the matruka nyasam at the very end, because it's very easy, but it is you have to know, because they'll say it very fast. You need to know which part of your body to touch, right? That's the only thing in that nyasam. Okay, any questions? And then we'll stop the class here.
Rajesh, so with the remaining 4 classes, it will come to an end, right?
That's it. That's everything.
Quick, Rajesh.
I have a schedule of when we started. We started on 8/20. So we'll finish by end of April, right? So 8 months. Yeah, typically 7-8 months, because we skipped 3 classes. We didn't have 3 classes in between. So about 7 months, right?
Ready for this Navaratri then?
Huh?
You will be ready for this Navaratri, I said.
Yeah, absolutely. You're actually ready for this current Navaratri going on as well, right?
Vasanta Navaratrike number ready, Sriram.
Correct. For the other main Navaratri, absolutely. You'll be ready with everything completely. Yes. Okay.
கேள்விப்பட்டேன். நான் அத்தையா கால் பண்றேன்.
அது call பண்ணுங்க.
Thank you,
Okay,
Rajesh ji.
Bye everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rajesh ji.
Bye.